Do we have any questions on that, or are you ready to just jump straight into HCP? All good. Okie dokie. So now we are in our client, and this is sort of what we did last week. We converted our inquiry to a client. We've popped in the information that we do have. And now we are ready to start onboarding them with HCP. So to do that, we come into our plans tab and our processes, and we just select new, and we hit onboarding home care package client and next. We have this option where if we are transferring from another provider, if they may be having a bit of a transfer of funds or they're transferring some funds themselves, we can check that box. So we will check that for now. And then our process is started. So you can see here, we have the contact details. This is all of the information that we've put in previously. If we edit this information on the main client page, it will update here and vice versa. So it's just a good quick little check. And if we want to update or add in any information here, we can, and then that will pull through to the client record as well. Just like that. We can see here, we also have our related tab. So again, these are pulling from that main client record. So had we added any of these in, those records would be sitting here. If we add them in now, they will also pull through to that section in the client record as well. So let's add in a contact, a primary contact for Mary. And let's add in an emergency contact for Mary. So you can see here that the contact field is just looking up for someone. So if we are coming in here and we're putting in a contact and maybe that contact hasn't been added, we did show this last session, you've got this add new contact. So we can go through this process and we can actually add that contact in there and then so that they can get added here without needing to go to any other screen. And then we've also got our consents field. So again, I'll just quickly show that. So we have a medication prompt consent that we need to send out as a part of this onboarding. The consent date is today. We're going to save that. Now, if we click on that consent record, we can see that we can generate that document that we've just seen and we can get that sent off for our process. So I'm just going to go back to our onboarding process. So this is just the main page. Really, this is just a quick check to make sure that everything's looking okay and we're happy to proceed on with the next step. At the top, you can see this is our path, and our pages that we see are going to change based on what stage we're at within the process. So two ways: we can either mark entry status as complete, or we can click on the next stage and hit mark as entry status, and that will change that for us. And you can see that that's changed the page, it's changed what we can see, because this is prompting us for our next part of our process. So now we're going to do an aged care assessment for Mary. We did this in the last session, but we'll just pop one in for her. Our vision is higher plus, managing pain, self-managers. There are a few mandatory fields that we'll just enter in. Sorry, it's a big form, which I'm sure you're all aware of. We have this clinical escalation required, which is a customization that we've added in. And then we have a report in the background as well that just shows all of the clients that have this clinical escalation checked. That report is in that same SOW folder there. And then we have our scheduled review date. Let's just do 2023. We'll save that. So now we've got our aged care assessment in there. Just wanted to quickly show you, we did build a few custom assessments for Valley Cara. So we have the Ascot tool, which I just think that we updated based on your current assessment. the aged care, obviously. We have the at-risk register, the equipment log, the non-response plan, an environmental checklist as well. So if we just have a look at the environmental checklist, this should look familiar because we have copied one of your forms, and it's just simply going through and adding in all of that information. Is there parking? Are there pets? Has a dog, but it's friendly? Little things like that. Handrails, smoke detectors. Save that, and so now we can see we've got our aged care assessment and our environmental checklist in there. Next thing we have is health conditions. So I'm just going to pop something in here because this will pop through. If we pop through health conditions here, it'll actually pop through on our care plan that we pop out at the end. So it's completed by me. We are going to display it as alert. And we're going to say Mary is allergic to bees. Mary is allergic to bees. Has EpiPen on her person. Something like that. And, you know, I suppose sometimes we might want to close out a health condition. It might not be relevant anymore, so we can close these out. We're going to keep this active for now. So we have that health condition there. And same thing we went through last time is we can add in a risk assessment as well. And this is all, again, based on your risk assessment document that was provided. But for now, we're not going to complete that. And so, yeah, anything that we're creating here is also going to be replicated and sitting on the client record as well. So it's all bidirectional. And now we're ready. We're happy with this section. So now we're going to mark this stage as complete. And we'll pop into our goals. Please just stop me at any time or pop a question in the chat if anyone does have any questions. Or if I'm going too fast, please feel free to tell me to slow down. So now we have our goals section. So this is where we obviously will create our goals that we will plan services against in one of the next steps. So we did do this in the last session as well. We'll just say walking dog, and Mary would like to continue to walk her dog 2 times a week. There we have our intention here. So say we're intending to refer it out, or it's a future goal, some sort of an informal support. I think it was brought up in the workshop that sometimes like a friend might help with one of their goals. And so sometimes we do want to record that a friend is helping with something. It's obviously an informal support. It's, you know, Ballycurra is not actually doing anything, but it's just recording that that is happening and that that's been acknowledged. We'll pop in our service types here. And then we do have the section for CHSP only, so we will go into that later. We can do steps. So this is sort of up to you and how you want to manage this process. If it's quite a big goal and there are multiple steps, then we might want to come down and complete this section. However, some people prefer to just create a goal per, per item as well. So that's up to you. For now, we'll just leave it at that. And if we drop down, we can see the details of the goal and the outcome as well. And if we had multiple goals, they would all step down there. Yep. And so now we're happy with our goals. We've discussed all of that with the client. We're happy to move on. We can mark that stage as complete. Just a quick note, until the service agreement has actually been generated, we can go back to any of these stages by just simply clicking on the stage and hitting mark entry status, and it will take you back to that page. It will lock once we have sent the service agreement, which we can, again, fix if we need to, but we'll get into that. So now we're at the budget stage. The budget, if you have created HCP budgets before, this should look familiar, but we're just going to go down and add in our subsidies. So if we come in here, we know that Mary's on a package level 2. So I'm just going to pop that in there. That's there. Oxygen supplements, so all of these are fixed rates. So you can see there's no real rate there. It's all based on the rate card that's sitting in the back end. If you're adding something in that has a future start date, then you would put a start date here. We don't retrospective things. That is just not something that we do at the moment. So if you do need to retrospect things, you may need to go in and manually create those journal entries. But for now, we're going to leave the start date as per the plan. So it's going to start when the plan starts, and we're not going to put an end date on this one. We would only put an end date on it if obviously it does have an end, whereas obviously a lot of these are fairly ongoing. So we'll just add in a couple more rates, supplements. Then we have our hardship supplement, which doesn't look like that's been loaded in. I know that Alvin's still working on getting the fees and whatnot in. Let's see if we have a viability. Yeah. Put that in. Then we have our fees. This is what's charged to the client. We'll add an income tested fee. We're going to use a negotiated rate. I'm not really sure what would be appropriate here, but let's put $15. Basic daily care fee, package level 2. Save that. And so you can see as we're building this out, it's giving us our subtotals and it's giving us our net budget at the bottom. We also have this section here for the transfer details. So where we selected before that this client is transferring from another provider, we would just come in down here and we would just pop in the information of what's coming over to Ballycara. So say we've got $250 coming over. We're going to transfer that today. And then the pre-1 July 2014 arrangements. So if we check that, it will just take into consideration you know, the rates and etc. that was pre-2014. So now we've popped all of that information in there. We've got our budget. We're happy with that. This is always going to default to daily.
We can just ask a question. Sorry.
Yeah, sure.
Where are the two main fees, the care management and package management?
Yep, so that comes next. So your fixed Ballycara fees will come in the plan section. Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
That's okay. So, yep, so now we're happy with all of this. Like I said, we can toggle between these different costs. And now we're happy with all of this. We're going to mark this stage as complete. And so this is where we add in these fixed costs. So we've got our care management fee. We know we're on HCP level 2. Our package management fee. HCP level 2. And any other custom fixed costs that we want to add in here. We'll just add that in there. $25. And then down here we also have, sorry, my a little bit. So this is the goal that we created earlier. So we can actually create services and link those to the goals. So I am going to book in an exercise physiologist, initial and ongoing. A rate's pre-populated. We're going to start that today, and we're going to repeat it weekly on a Thursday, and we are going to end it after 15 occurrences. We can set the time if we want. This isn't going to lock in any times or anything like that, but when the scheduler comes to plan the services, they might see that the preferred time is, say, 9 till 10 in the morning, and that can be considered. We just want one quantity per occurrence. I'm not sure if you would ever have multiple quantities per occurrence, but that is something that you can change. The ability section, this is actually not loaded in yet. I'm not sure if we've had any values from Ballycara, but basically the ability section is just something, again, that you want the scheduler to consider. So it could be, you know, preferred language or even a preferred gender for the person that's going to help them with this service. So they can be added into the system, and then, yeah, they're taken for consideration when we schedule the work. So I'm going to submit that plan service, which is telling me it's $390 a month. Our schedule, we haven't linked it to any care worker yet. And then this is all taken into consideration up here. We can hit this cost breakdown, which just gives us this information. We can see it's not taken into consideration our fixed costs we've added. So let's just recalculate that. And now we can see that these fixed costs are now coming in and minusing off there. We can also see that our planned services are here, but because we've put in 15 occurrences, they're actually going to stop in June. And we can see that after that point, there are no planned services against the client's package. So now we are happy with our costs and our breakdowns and our forecast. We can now mark this stage as complete. Okay, and then this is where we come into the review section of the onboarding process. So we have, she's got that marked there. I wonder how can I, sorry. Well, I'll show you the e-signature. So we have this send by e-signature, which has automatically checked based on certain requirements. This means that the quote, when we generate the quote, it will send to the client's email address. I'm not going to do that now because I have actually done it just so I can show you what will happen. So when we hit generate quote, it will start doing its thing. And then what will happen, so what will happen is the client will receive an email that looks like this. So form stack sign email. And it's come from admin Balikara, but that will say your name. That's just what my username is. And when they hit review and sign, they will be taken to the document. I have actually already signed the client side of it. So they would come into this document. This section here would have the click to sign, and then they could just click that. They also have an option to draw their signature if they want. And then we would come back in. And then once the client has signed the record, it will then come to your email address, the person that sent the service agreement, for you to sign this. So this is the stage that this is at now. So if we click to sign this and we apply and we submit the document, I'm not actually going to do it because I'm not 100% sure whether this goes towards Balikara's limit. But when we submit the document, what will happen is that when we come into the service agreement, it will convert over to approved and active. So that's, where am I? Sorry. There we are. There's Mary. So that will come down there. The other thing that we have, and the file will, when you generate the file, the draft will automatically come here. Once it's signed, the signed copy will also automatically be pulled into this record, into the file, and your service agreement will switch over to active.
Amy,
Mm.
can I just quickly ask if
Yeah.
Alvin has mentioned to you about this being able to be generated on the case manager's device? Have you had that conversation? Because Alvin was getting back to me on that one, so he's exploring. Just because all of our clients won't have an email address, right?
Okay.
And we want the process to be smooth, so we wanted it to be generated on the case manager's device instead of doing email back and forth.
Okay. Okay. So Alvin has that requirement. I think Paulina can see is typing away now. Just note that down, and we'll check with Alvin. I'm sorry, I haven't touched base with him on that, so I'm not too sure. But we'll definitely follow up and get him to come back to you on that one.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, so we can see here that the service agreement has pulled in. That would have sent to Mary's email address, which is blank, so it hasn't actually gone anywhere for now. And then what we can do is, in the interim, so had the whole process been completed, we wouldn't have to accept the quote because the status will automatically change. But I am going to accept that quote so this status changes to complete. Another thing we can do from this review page is generate the care plan PDF. So we have formatted this as to your requirements. So let's just pull this up and have a look what this looks like. Yes, sorry, I've just seen your comment. Yeah, sorry. So just jumping back, I guess, when we were creating those goals, you can see how this system is quite, linked in with the goals, and the process really is about assessing the customer, determining which goals that we need to plan for and provide services for, and then we move from that stage. So you can see how it is quite goal centric and how all of that flows together. I'm not sure if that's necessarily how you're working at the moment, so it might be a little bit of an adjustment, but I do know that it is sort of also what's I guess recommended by my aged care as well. So now we have generated that care plan, and you can see that we now have two documents down here, and one is the service agreement, one is the home care plan. So if we just pull that up, and this is just a sample because I've just done a preview. So we can see that it's pulling through the client's name. It's pulled through that allergy and that alert that we put in earlier. So that's just, something to keep in mind, that when you're adding that in, that's going to pull through to this care plan. And then we have a table of all of the plan services, and it links in with the goal as well. So the customer, the client, if you will be sending this care plan, is going to see what you put in that goal and that outcome. So that's something to keep in mind. I know that during the workshops we talked about making sure that it's, very caring and just appreciating that it will be client facing. So we just want to make sure that we're wording these things appropriately. And then any services that we have are going to table out here for us. We've only planned one, so that's all we've got there. So that is our care plan for Mary. And then the last document that we can generate from this screen is the individual budget. So we'll do the same thing. We'll click on that. We'll wait for this to do its thing. It's taking a little while. It's taking a while, isn't it? Okay, so now we've got three documents. We've got our service agreement, our home care plan, and our individual budget. We pull up our individual budget. We can just see it's basically listing out all of those, the budget and the plan services that we popped in earlier. And it is just listing those out. And then we just have the general T's and C's and whatnot. So this can then be sent to Mary and used as you see fit. So now we have finished that, we can complete the onboarding process. And we can see it's complete. We can take ourselves to the service agreement or the care plan via that page. And this is where we get a bit more of an overview of everything. If we click on the related tab, we can see that service agreement and that individual budget that we created earlier will pull through to our files. We can see all of our service agreement items, our service agreement history, our goal achievement plan that's linked with the service agreement. We can see all of our line items, And then, yeah, just the general details there. Funding type at the top. And so now that this is created, we can start sort of planning our services and scheduling for Mary, which is something that we will cover off in a future session. Did we have any questions on any of that?
Could we quickly see the service agreement PDF as well, please?
Oh, sorry, yes. I'm not sure that. There we go. Service agreement PDF. So we have our agreement details, the provider details. You can see that it's checked the level that we have selected. We've got our service summary, date of the agreement, our signing page, which is what we went through the emails. And then just all of this should look very familiar to you because it is your T's and C's. Yep. So obviously when you hit preview on FormStack, and if you're not sure, you think it might change, I would suggest just previewing documents rather than fully merging them. Merging them does come at a cost. So preview them. When you're ready, you can go back in and you can generate the proper document by hitting merge now. So I just want to make sure, okay, so I'll now show you, so now that Mary, say we created this a couple months ago, Mary's been billing, we've been providing services for her. The HCP will create, based on the budget and what we've signed off, these journal entries in the background. So these get automatically created. So this is for another client that's been active just for a little bit longer. And you can see these daily fees are sort of coming in and the journals are just automatically being created. The only thing that you'll need to consider is if you are transferring a client that you might need to come in and retrospectively create these. But other than that, going forward for HCP, it'll all get automatically created for you in the background. Okie dokie. So now, I wonder if this is actually going to work. So now Mary is sitting on a current status and we have her start date as today. If we now need to upgrade Mary's package, so we're going to take her from a level 2 to a level 3. The process for that is we would first of all clone this agreement. So just hit that button there. And basically we're cloning the agreement that is currently active. The cloned start date. So we're actually going to start this one on Monday, the 21st of March. And that hasn't changed. Oh, actually, no, sorry. I should have clicked on that link. So if I come back to Mary, contracts. So that link was up there, I just wasn't quick enough. And we can see now it's created us a current, which is the current one, and it's created us that draft, which is our cloned agreement that we're going to use to upgrade this package. We can see we've got our new start date there, and we're basically ready to go. So now that we have done that, sorry, check. We have this drop down button next to generate individual budget, and we can change the package level. So we can come in here and we can say, well, Mary's going from a 2 to a 3. We change the package level. It's going to update all of your forecasting for you. So everything is going to get updated. All of our line items are going to get updated. Everything else is going to get updated. You can obviously check off that you're happy with everything. If we needed to create new goals and whatnot, we can come onto our related tab and we can actually create new goals against this. But for now, we're saying everything is staying the same. We're just changing the package level. So we've done all of that. And then we can do the same thing. We can generate our agreement. And so this is giving me all of the different things that I can generate. we're just going to generate our HCP service agreement for now, and I'm just going to preview that. So here's our new service agreement, and that hasn't changed it to level 3. Interesting. Can you note that down, Pauline, just to check that? Maybe I've done something wrong. That's not changing that to level 3, even though we have level 3 throughout the service agreement. So we'll just check why that's not updating. And then so we've done that. Either we've sent it to Mary, she's signed it, or it's just been done manually, and we're going to accept this home care agreement. We're happy with the upgrade. So now you can see that this status is flipped over to current. And if I come back to Mary into her contracts, and then that hasn't flipped over, should expire this one. Okay, sorry, I might have to check that and just quickly show that at the beginning of the next session, because what should happen, and it did when I was doing my testing, so I'm just not sure if maybe I'm missing a step, was that what should happen is that the service agreement that we, oh, maybe it won't flick over into that start date. Anyway, I will check on that. I apologize, and I'll just confirm that. But basically what should be happening is that when the new service agreement starts, the old service agreement status then moves to expired. So we've created a flow in the background that will do that, automatically update that. So I'll just double check why that's not working. I am wondering, oh, I can see, that'll be what it is. My apologies, everyone. So you can see that the end date has automatically been populated here, so the day before the next start date. So what we could expect to happen is that on the 21st, this will move over into expired, and our new service agreement will become our current service agreement. So that was just an error. I should have processed that for today. Okay, so I'll just double check, make sure. Okay, so do we have any questions on that onboarding process? And that's a little bit to take in, but it is nice. It sort of steps you through it, and it's